Alright, what is up, guys? So, this is a video that's been kind of semi-requested. I've had a lot of people ask about things similar to this, so I kind of thought I would, go a little bit in depth on, I've done a lot of videos recently that are either lower gear than I normally would, like 124 gear, or just like relatively cheap kits, a few thousand gold. But something I've yet to do is people have asked me a lot about Squire gear, like what would you run for base kit fighter, Squire gear, that type of thing. And I will say, just for one, because I know I'm gonna get questions about it or people are gonna ask me to do it. So this is just a TLDR. I don't play longsword. I don't play that weapon at all. If you want to know stuff about longsword, it's not me. I'm not the guy. I'm not him. I'm not that guy for longsword information. A lot of people out there that play it, I am not one of them. So if you are expecting a longsword build in this video, there will not be one. Feel free to click off now. But with that being said, I'm going to show you guys what I believe to be the top three fighter builds to run for Squire gear. This will be in no particular order. We're gonna have a Slayer kit, we're going to have a tank kit, and then we're going to have a like a hybrid mobility tank kit. So there's three big ones. So to start off with, also I will say the ranged weapon, which I have as crossbow for most of these kits, is very optional. You don't necessarily need to run crossbow here. You can run whatever you want. Survival bow, longbow, recurve bow, whatever it may be. I just have crossbow on because, truthfully speaking, I think your ranged weapon depends on the game mode you play. If you're playing solos, bows are better. If you're playing team modes, crossbow's probably your best option, or longbow. But yeah. So like I said, to start off with, you have the Slayer kit. This kit is very, very straightforward. Obviously, it's just, Slayer doesn't wear a ton of gear. The best part about Slayer in Squire kit is it has incredibly high base damage to do things like Slayer plus 5 weapon damage, Sword Mastery plus 2, and then Falchion have a naturally high base damage. Then you get 15% action speed from Dual Wield and Sword Mastery, so you're starting off with a ton of stats. So you would be 17% action speed, and you'd have 7 weapon damage. Obviously, you're running the fizz power. You can't really see it here, but the fizz power is 0% on this kit because it's kind of hard to get what you want. Like, you could go full strength gear, but then you'd be significantly slower, and it wouldn't even be like. It's not like that big a deal. The best part about Slayer is you have a lot of damage, but you also don't really have to build damage to get it because of the base weapon damage and base damage on Falchion. And so it's kind of usually just better to make use of your mobility. With this weapon setup, you have a minus 35 weapon penalty, so you will be 270 with your weapons out, which isn't that slow. Truthfully speaking, if you have sprint, you can catch most people in base kit. That's the best part about this. However, the one downside to this kit that I will say is if you fight barbarians, they're kind of just going to kill you if they're not bad. Barbarians kind of do what Slayer does, except they're just better at it because, their damage isn't based around perks for the most part. They have Axe Spec and Executioner and Berserker, but it's not like necessary for them, and they also have way more HP. A base kit Barbarian's gonna have without they're gonna be like 160 HP or something while doing similar damage to you. But that is the Slayer kit, and I don't really need to go too in depth on the gear pieces here. Most of these are just leather caps your only option. Chest piece is HP plus slow move speed penalty. Gloves are for action speed, which is really nice because building getting like 2 strength isn't going to make a difference here, but the 2% action speed, you never know. Same with the reinforce for the HP, probably not a big difference. And then loose trousers and light foots are your best combination for movement speed, pants and boots. So moving on, we have the tank kit. As you can see here, this is literally just, it's much, much slower. 285 move speed here. We have Heater and Falchion because Falchion is just your best weapon, generally speaking, for base kit in terms of damage. Then you have 33.7% physical damage reduction and 22.5% magic resistance because you have dashing boots and dark layer legs. Then you combine those with dark plates, Hound Skull, and the reinforced gloves. So you could get more MR if you went something like leather gloves here, but you would lose out on some HP. And then for your other options, Dark Plate's just the best chest piece. You could swap this out for a Fine Cures if you wanted, but you would give up some MR, which isn't ideal. You would gain like a bit more PDR here. So, if that's your playstyle and you'd prefer to have more PDR than MR, you absolutely could go Fine Cures here. Me personally, I think having the MR is just better because it's not even that much more PDR. It's probably like, 3 or 4% more, really not that much. And then Hound Skull is just the tankiest helmet, plus it gives Vig as a base. You could run Sallet here, but then you would be giving up a lot of armor. So, yeah. For the pieces that are swappable, Fine Cuirass and Sallet are really the two that you could potentially swap out here. And, like, maybe Heavy Leathers if you wanted more HP instead of the MR, but, is what it is. Now, moving on for the last kit. This is the kind of hybrid kit, you could say. You have good move speed, your HP is like whatever, and your resistance isn't that bad. You have no MR here, but your PDR isn't going to be awful. relatively speaking. It's definitely worse than the other kit, but you know, it is what it is. The main use of this kit is just going to be like you're kind of like a harass character where you know you like sprint in, you try to get hits off the arming sword. You don't want to be in the middle of a fight. Like this kit, like this is your typical frontline fighter kit. This is the one that wants to brawl. This kit does not. This kit wants to play almost similar to a bard where you're like, you know, going in, getting quick hits off and you're backing off. And for this reason, you have Chappelle, Loose Trousers, and Lightfoot all for move speed. Fine Curist for the strength Vig it gives, plus the PDR, because we don't really care about MR here. Our MR is going to come from the fact that we're fast, so hopefully we don't get hit by spells. And then Leather Gloves, once again, just for the action speed, because Arming Sword works really, really nice with action speed. And then once again, the range weapon, like I said, on all of these kits is very, very situational. But truthfully speaking, like I say these are quote unquote the best Squire kits. There are a million different things you can run. You could also, for example, you know, drop the Chappelle here and put on a lizard skin or lichen skin because that's better on most of these classes. The only one that you really wouldn't want to do it on is here for the Helm Skull because it gives way more armor than Lizard does. But here, for example, on Slayer, Lizard's just better. Or Lichen is just better because even you're giving up a little bit of armor, but it's really not a big difference because you're gaining 4 Vig, which is, you know, like 7 HP or something. It's a ton. And then here, Lizard Man is just kind of better because it gives you, like, you're losing the move speed penalty, or you're losing the agi, so you're losing a tiny bit of movement speed, and the dexterity that comes from agility or action speed. Sorry, not dexterity, the action speed. But then you're losing the move speed penalty of the Chappelle as well, so overall you're going to end up being a little bit faster. But other than that, there's not a ton to go over for these builds. Like I said, it is, at the end of the day, base kit. This is very, very bare bones. There's not a lot of thought put into these kits in the sense of, you know, that's just kind of what you run. There's not a lot of build variety. Like, things like this right here, like, truthfully speaking, it's like I say this is, like, good. Most of the time, you could just run this and you're going to be perfectly fine. The only downside to running a kit like this is just going to be you're really slow and you don't have as many gap closers. But being like a tankier character is usually better in these low lobbies because less people can counter you. And you know, things that are really, really strong in these lower tier lobbies or low geared lobbies, like Slayer and Barbarian, get beat a lot harder by these. So if you really wanted to, for example, something you could do is instead of running, you know, like any sort of MR, you literally could just run like full plate. Like you could go something like this and just be really, really tanky. Like you see here, 37.8. I mean, you're minus MR, but at the end of the day, you know, that's just something you have to play around. But the problem is, like I said, if you do this, then that minus MR is really, really bad, and also you're incredibly slow. That's why instead of going this for the tank build, I have it set to like something like this, where as you can see, you give a little side-by-side stat comparison here. Where are we at? Like, you can see, like, thing is, it's only 4% less MR, but it also gains another, you gain what? Technically speaking, 32% magic rise because you go from -10 to +22, and then you're down 5 HP, and you're also faster. So overall, I'm pretty sure, like, if you're gonna play a tank kit, this one on the screen here is probably the best you could possibly do. Not the, you know, not the this one right here, not the one that was behind it. And also, like I mentioned, for the Slayer kits, like, there are other things you can run. For example, like, if you want to run, you know, where are we at? Like, if you want to run something that you just want to run a different weapon for some reason, you want to run like Arming Sword Slayer, that's fine. Arming Sword Castellan. You want to run, you know, Morningstar Flange Mace Slayer, great, you can do that. Just put a short sword in your offhand because, and then so you can run Sword Mastery with it. Like, these right here are both perfectly like fine combinations. There are a million different ones. You literally have every piece of armor at your disposal here that you can run. Also, one thing that I will keep in mind, or to keep in mind, not that I will, that I already know, that you keep in mind, if you have Weapon Mastery on, you then become able to see everything in the Squire that you can use. So if you like look in here, like, oh, I don't have any bows. Why don't I have any bows? It's because you don't have Weapon Mastery on. If you turn Weapon Mastery on, you could see all the weapons you normally wouldn't be able to. Crystal Sword, Maul, you know, crossbows, bows, or like windless crossbows, bows. That's one of the reasons that if you know you maybe looked in there and you didn't see it, that could have happened. But yeah, like I said, there are a million different combinations of possible Squire gear you can go for in here. You know, you can build specific kits. Like if you want to build a ton of dexterity, you know, you go something like buckler, doublets, leather gloves, cloth pants, and then go adventurer boots wherever the adventurer boots are. Like something like this, right? And then you have 7.5% action speed base, and you're still relatively fast, but your HP is low. Like I said, there are so many different things you can build for Squire kits. The ones I'm showing off are just the ones I think are generally the best and will give you the most value. So with that being said, that is going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys for watching. That was a good one, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.